morning and happy Thanksgiving! Yay, we made it! Today I am talking about teaching gratitude to children. So if you're new to listening to my podcast, welcome to the club because we're all new. This is my second official podcast. I guess I did have an introductory podcast, but that was just so we could link up all the platforms. So this is it. This is the official second podcast. Happy Thanksgiving and thanks for tuning in. Every week I have a different topic each day. So let me run down my weekly lineup for the podcast here, and you can mark your calendars or whatever you want if there are specific topics that you want to make sure you listen to. So on Mondays we have Motivational Monday. Sorry, you be quiet. I have a puppy dog here in the background. All of a sudden thinks he needs my attention. Isn't that typical? That's perfect for parenting. That's what we're talking about today. So Monday, we have Motivational Monday. We kick off the week with inspiration and self-help. Teaching Tuesdays, that's on Tuesdays, obviously. Homeschooling insights and educational guidance. I homeschool my youngest two daughters, and I was actually a high school teacher, so a lot of information and things to help there. Wednesdays are Whip It Wednesday. We do Culinary Adventures, cooking tips, and just explore the culinary world and improve your cooking skills. If you listened to yesterday, it was all about turkey basics. So if you're a little lost today in cooking the turkey, go back and listen to yesterday's podcast. Thursdays are parenting perspectives. So I'm going to share some advice, stories, and support for parenting. I am also a mom of 6 kids, and so a lot of experience over the years there. Fridays are Food Storage Friday, so we're going to be learning about food storage and preparedness. I have actually written a few books on food storage and preparedness. I've taught classes and presentations, and I'm all about helping people build their food storage and become prepared for any case scenario. And then on Saturdays, we do our Money Magic for Moms. So Money Magic for Moms, that is helping you discover some entrepreneurship ways to make money from home. Whether it's starting your own business or finding a work from home job, all that fun stuff. I have been a stay-at-home and work-from-home mom for over 22 years. So a lot of experience there, and I have a lot of fun stories and scary stories and good advice and pros and cons and all that I'm happy to share. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that you'd like me to cover or clarify, you can always reach out to me in email. The email is podcast@a2zformoms.com. All right. So, all that, now let's get started on today's parenting perspective. So, being that it is Thursday, it's Parenting Perspective Day, but also today is Thanksgiving. Yay! And what is the biggest thing that most people associate with Thanksgiving is gratitude, right? Gratitude, it's amazing. So, we're going to talk about teaching gratitude to your children. So we're going to cover 4 things in today's podcast. The first one's going to be the importance of gratitude in child development. Secondly, we're going to be talking about practical activities for teaching gratitude. Third, we're going to be talking about modeling gratitude as parents. And fourth, we're going to be talking about navigating challenges in teaching gratitude. So let's start with our first one. I'm dropping stuff on my desk. Importance of gratitude in child development. So gratitude is actually a major thing. They're never too young to learn gratitude. There's actually if you study, if you do it, you can do a quick Google search on the psychological development and stages of children. Each growth stage, they learn something new. So the cool thing is, I remember year 1, when they are from birth to 1 year old, their main thing they learn is trust versus mistrust. And I just thought that was so interesting. And I remember when I did my psychology class years and years ago, I loved it because it talked about how in each stage of development for children, there's something positive they can learn and something negative they can learn. So like from birth to 1 year, for example, trust versus mistrust. If they learn trust in that first year, they are more likely to learn the positive option in the next stage. And the more of the positive things that they learn in each stage, the more likely they are to continue, because it's like it builds that foundation and they start to look for the positive. Versus the negative, if they learn the negative, it builds a negative foundation and they start to look for the negative, right? Now, this doesn't mean it's a hopeless scenario if a child has had this horrible birth experience or anything like that and their environment was super negative or anything. It doesn't mean it's a hopeless cause. It just means you're going to have to do some work tearing up that foundation and putting a new one in, right? It's going to, just like a house, you're going to tear it down, put a new one in. So teaching children gratitude gives them a social and emotional well-being from the start. So expressing and receiving gratitude, it fosters positive emotions. It contributes to their overall emotional well-being. Grateful children often experience higher levels of happiness, satisfaction, and a positive outlook on life. I always love it when one of my favorite things with kids, little kids, is hearing little kids sing. It doesn't matter the age. And it doesn't matter what they're singing or even if they have a good singing voice or not. A singing child is a happy child. If your kids are singing on their own, playing or whatever, good job. You've done an amazing job. A singing child is a happy child. Part of learning gratitude, children learn empathy and compassion. So that's a key thing. I mean, that you take the reverse of that. That is the definition of a sociopath, is someone who lacks empathy. They lack the ability to feel what others would feel or put themselves in someone else's shoes, right? We don't want to raise sociopaths as parents. You want to raise empathetic, compassionate children. Gratitude is going to help them. It helps them develop empathy by understanding and appreciating the efforts and kindness of others. And grateful children are more likely to exhibit compassion and concern for the well-being of others when they understand what they have and the gratitude for what they have. They can recognize when others don't have it, and that helps them build that empathy towards others. It does improve relationships. Gratitude strengthens interpersonal relationships as children learn to acknowledge and appreciate the contributions of family, friends, and others. Okay, so one of my favorite memories as a parent. I always say, if you're not having fun with parenting, you're doing it wrong. That's my thing. So one of my absolute joys that just brings happiness to my soul is, and all of my kids have done this at some point, and it just fills my life with joy. When they get to a point where they have, for example, all of my kids had chores, right? They had a chore, a responsibility, something they had to do. And I had two sons specifically that I remember when it happened. Their chore, let's just say their chore was to clean the living room floor and to clean up the living room. So they cleaned the floor, and we would teach them and get all, oh, doesn't this look so good? You did such a good job. And they'd vacuum and they'd pick up the clutter and they'd put everything away, and they'd start to develop this sense of pride in their work, right? They noticed a drastic difference in the state before and then after, and they took that pride in their work of, oh, look at the family room, it's so good, and we would definitely praise them, and this looks so nice, you did such a good job, oh, doesn't it feel so good to be in here and it's all nice and clean? All right, fast forward a few minutes, hours, whatever it was, you would have other siblings come in and maybe leave a toy on the floor or make a mess, whether it was accidentally or on purpose. The point was, somebody had messed up their clean room that they spent so much time and effort in cleaning, took so much pride in. And the kid, they'd come in and they'd be like, what happened? I just cleaned this room. And they would be like, why can't everybody clean up after themselves? Okay, nothing brings more joy to a parent's life than to hear the child echo the words that you so passionately feel and feel like you say all the time to your children. And that cracks me up. That was one of my favorite things. But that is teaching them that they're experiencing the other side of the coin, right? So now they've put in all the effort that normally it'd be the parents putting in the effort, and you're drilling into your kids, clean up after yourself, do your own dishes, put your toys away when you're done. And I'm not your maid. I don't want to spend my life following you to clean your messes. All those things that parents would say and feel to their kids. And now the kids are experiencing that, and now they get that ability to experience what it's like. And what that does, it's exciting, and we laughed so hard every time it happens. It just makes us so happy, because we're like, now they're getting it, they're learning, they've seen the other side of the fence, now they understand. And it does help. It helps their actions in the future, that they're a little bit more empathetic. It helps them learn, oh, hey, I remember what it felt like. And we would talk about that and remind them, I remember what it felt like when others didn't clean up after themselves and the room that I had cleaned got messy. I need to make a better effort to clean up after myself, so I don't create that for someone else, right? To create that emotion. So, it also, gratitude for children, it gives them resilience in the face of challenges. Grateful children often develop resilience, the ability to bounce back from challenges and setbacks. Why is that? So let's think about that. When you are grateful for what you have, and say something happens, life happens, and sometimes things don't go the way we plan, or circumstances beyond our control. But if you have gratitude, if they have instilled an ability to look on the bright side of things, that's going to help them bounce back from that, rather than spiraling into a depression. They're going to be able to see and understand and know there are still good things in life. There are still good things that happen. Everything is not negative. Everything is not depressing. They're going to be able to focus on positive aspects even in difficult situations. And they're going to learn, it's not going to be forever, right? We're going to be able to bounce back from this. So gratitude also reduces materialism. Gratitude is associated with a reduction. Okay, puppy dog. We had a crash. I'm getting an antsy dog here. Isn't that, like I said, that is key. Isn't that so parenting? Everything's quiet and nobody needs you until the minute you get on the phone or go to the bathroom or do something needed. And everything's quiet in my house. And then all of a sudden I start this podcast and the dog thinks he needs to be at my feet and needs attention and wants something. Okay, well, we'll move on. We'll push forward. So, with materialism. So gratitude is associated with a reduced emphasis on material possessions and a greater appreciation for non-material aspects of life. One thing that children, especially I've noticed with my kids, as they learn to be more grateful, they start to learn that materialistic things come and go, right? They have toys that they're so cool when they first get them, and then they outgrow them, or they break, or they use them up, whatever it is. But the memories, the time you spend together, the jokes, the fun, the trips, the experiences, those are things that they remember forever. And they start to realize, okay, yeah, that toy, I don't have that toy anymore, but I remember playing with it. I remember when my friend came over and we played this game together. I don't have the game anymore, but we played it together. And they start to learn that, and they start to realize how materialistic things aren't what bring us happiness. It's the experiences in life. Also, positive self-esteem. So children who learn gratitude, they realize how it contributes to a positive self-esteem, and they value their own strengths and attributes. They acknowledge the positive aspects of their lives, and it helps build that healthy sense of self-worth. It also provides an enhanced academic performance. So children who are grateful often exhibit better focus, better engagement, and positive attitude towards learning. They may approach challenges with a growth mindset, leading to improved academic performance. So instead of looking, again, they have that gratitude. They understand there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's always something good. And they start to look for the good. They start to look for that silver lining. And so that's the growth mindset of, oh, this stinks, this situation, this assignment, whatever, it's going to be so hard, but hey, we only have one of them. Or all those things, they're going to start to see how they can grow and how they can learn from it, rather than how it's going to push them down and immobilize them or be a struggle. And lastly, stress reduction. So gratitude is linked to lower levels of stress and anxiety in children. Isn't that interesting? Grateful children may develop coping mechanisms that help them manage stress and navigate challenges more effectively. So this is kind of like an attitude of gratitude versus, it's like that whole positivity, right? The more, if you stop and think about it, any time in your life when you've just been overwhelmed with negative things, whether, stress and anxiety, and you're thinking of everything that could go wrong or everything that has go wrong or is going wrong in your life, and you just feel yucky. You just feel yucky. And the minute that you start to shift that attitude and your focus and what you're thinking on, and you start to think, oh, hey, it's only going to be for this long, or it's only this much, or I have these good things still in my life, it starts to uplift you and you start to feel better. And when things are going great, you're usually focused on how great everything is, and it makes you feel better. I always say, when it rains, it pours, but that applies to good and bad. It's what you're focusing on, you're getting more of. So if you're going to focus on the negativity and all the trials and stuff, you're going to get more of that. And it's not even that you're getting more of it, it's that you're noticing more of it. And the same goes for gratitude. So there's an exercise. You can try this. Close your eyes and think of a color. Let's just say the color brown, because today's Thanksgiving, brown's a Thanksgiving color. Let's think of that. Think of the color brown, and think of some things that are brown. You got trees, you got a turkey, you got, leaves, dirt. What's brown? Now, when you open your eyes, start to notice everything that's brown around you, and you'll start to notice brown everywhere. Why are you seeing brown? Is there more brown things around you? No, it's the same things that were there before. You're just paying attention to it. And that's how gratitude works. You can do that. You can do that at any time. It's a fun exercise to do with your kids. And you can even have them close their eyes and say, what things are in this room that are this color? And see if they can think of it while their eyes are closed, and then have them open their eyes and see, there's so many more things in that room that are that color than they remember, because now they're paying attention to it. That's how gratitude works. All right, so now let's move on to practical activities for teaching gratitude. So there are, as a parent, you think, okay, we understand gratitude. Number one, gratitude is critical in child development. Great. We get that. On board, right? We all get that. Number two, how do we teach that? So I'm going to give you a list of some activity ideas. Now, a lot of these are going to be depending on the age of your child, right? So the first one, for example, gratitude journals. Well, if your child doesn't know how to read or write, that's kind of hard to have them do a gratitude journal. So take this with a grain of salt. These are age dependent, but there's always something you can do, no matter what the age, no matter what the mental ability or the intellectual ability, the social, the emotional, whatever learning stage they are at. There's always something you can do. So gratitude journals. Now, even if your child cannot write, if they can draw, they can do a gratitude journal. So they can color. Let them color a picture. Now, notebooks, especially after back to school sales and things, notebooks are super cheap, but I guarantee you could probably go get a simple little notebook for less than $1 at like at Walmart or whatever. Make it a fun. Get a special notebook. So if you're watching the YouTube video of this, by the way, this podcast is on YouTube as well as the audio versions. This is one of my many gratitude journals. So this was right after back to school sales. We had all the clearance. I love shopping those. I homeschool my girls, so we can buy stuff randomly. We don't need it to have it by a certain date because we're using it throughout the year. So I found this cute little iridescent sparkly notebook with all these silver stars because silver is my favorite color. And but the point was, it was a special notebook. It was something fun, and I took that, and that is my gratitude journal. Get something like that your child's going to love. They have all the notebooks. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but it can be. You can do whatever you want. Let them color. If they don't know how to write, pick a day and say, we are going to color our favorite food that we are so grateful for. Okay, and you can, if they have the ability to write, say, I want you to write the favorite food. Sometimes kids need ideas. They need a jumping off point, right? And if you need ideas in order to give them, then just do a Google. Say, hey, I would like a list of, 20 things to be grateful for. Something like that. You can, and off the top of your head, the more you do it, the easier it gets. You can, what's your favorite food? We're going to talk about our favorite food we're grateful for, our favorite flower, our favorite season of the year, our favorite clothing item, our favorite family member, our favorite anything. What you're grateful. And it's easy when something's your favorite. It's harder to be grateful for something that's not your favorite. That's advanced gratitude. So we're not going to necessarily worry about that at this point. But if you are advanced gratitude, start doing that. What was my favorite trial? What was the favorite thing I learned from this assignment that I hated to do? But what am I grateful that I learned? What am I grateful about? So that's advanced gratitude. So you can do it. And then you can talk about it as a family. You can talk about what they wrote down. If they want it private, or if you keep your gratitude journal private, that's fine too. It's all about shifting that perception, that attitude. Thank you cards. Thank you cards are another great habit to start your kids on, whether it's for birthday gifts or Christmas gifts or just throughout the year. Sometimes it's just because, hey, thank you for being a wonderful grandma. Thank you for being a great neighbor. All those things. Let your kids know that being grateful doesn't have to have a special occasion. They can be grateful for anything at any time, to anyone. And writing a little gratitude card or thank you card, or drawing a picture. Homemade cards are great. One of my favorites are when I did Stampin' Up! Years ago. It was called Color Me cards, and it was just basically a black and white stamp that was just with black ink, and you could print them off on the computer. Even it's just a black and white like coloring page, but you just have the outline and you let the kids color them. And that was the card. And so it had a cute little picture, but then it was colored in by your kids, and you could use that as your thank you card. I loved it. Gratitude jars. That is another thing, another way you can teach your children gratitude. So a gratitude jar, and you can Google these and you can find all sorts of things, or you can customize and make your own. You can print off, there's tons of resources online where you can print off things for a gratitude jar. When you print them off, I'm going to mute this, I think. There we go, because someone's sending me messages. When you print off your gratitude list, you cut them up into little strips of paper, fold them up, and put them in a jar. So each day you can pull out something for your gratitude journal, or just to talk about if you're not doing a gratitude journal, things you're grateful for. Another way of doing a gratitude jar is you can have family members or anybody, and for younger kids, you can write it for them. On a strip of paper, write down something they're grateful for that day. So each day, have them write something they're grateful for. You put it in the jar. And this is a fun thing to do, like at the first of the year, or you can do it in the month. The 1st of November, do it and then open them up at Thanksgiving. Depending on how many people are in your family and how many pieces of paper it'll take to fill the jar. You can do it for a whole year. You can do it for a month. You can do it for a week. However long you want to do it, have each person write something they're grateful for. And when you reach your deadline of when you're going to read them, open it up and read. And you don't have to, everybody can do them in secret. They don't have to share it every single day. And that makes it even more fun when you open it up, because someone might say, I am grateful that mom gave me a second cookie today, right? Or something like that. I'm grateful that we got snow. And everybody, as you open it, you can laugh and be like, I didn't even realize that was a big deal. But it was to them, because that's something they were grateful for. So another idea is acts of kindness. You can do an acts of kindness challenge. So making a list of kind acts and deeds that children can do for each other, for other people they know, whether it's strangers or not strangers. So talk about acts of kindness. I mean, simply opening a door for a stranger. That's an act of kindness. Doing the pay it forward thing, where you go through the drive-through and you pay for the car behind you's meal. So they don't even know that you paid for their meal until they go through the drive-through. And then it's like, hey, they already paid for your meal. Little acts of kindness that children can do for each other. We always encourage these in our family. So things like, hey, you can make their bed for them. You can do their chore for them. You can put their toys away for them. Little acts of kindness. And then as a parent, and depending on, again, on your children's age, knowing that one child went out of their way to make an effort for this. And not that they always need recognition, but when they're learning, it's important that they have that reward. Little children sometimes need that reward. And as they get older, they can do acts of kindness and service in secret, and their reward is how they feel. But when they're little, it's so important that they get that reward and they have that, and they understand how it makes other people feel. Again, it's building that empathy, right? That compassion, and it's those relationships. So when we know, let's say, one of our children went and made the bed, because sometimes they'd ask me, what's something nice I could do for so-and-so? And I said, well, is their bed made? Oh, it's not. Okay, why don't you go make their bed for them? And then we would make a point at dinner or something when everyone's around, or those two children are around, and I'd be like, so how's your bed? Did you notice your bed was made? And sometimes they'd think I did it, and I'd be like, nope, I didn't do it. Somebody sure loves you a lot. And whether we said the kid that did it or not, they knew that they did it. And they got to see the happiness that brought, and the attention, even if it wasn't specifically, oh, so-and-so did it for you. Just making a big deal out of it. Like, wasn't that nice to see your bed made? And yeah, one of your siblings did that. Whether they wanted the recognition individually or not, it brought that, it gave them that reward and that recognition to encourage them to do more stuff, and they got to see how that sibling reacted. So another one is Thanksgiving tree. So you can create a tree on a large piece of paper, or do a fake tree. They can write or draw things they're thankful for. This is similar to kind of like your gratitude jar, right? They can attach leaves to the tree and do a gratitude tree. Sharing circles during family or classroom meetings. You can have a designated time for sharing gratitude, and that's just a discussion. That's kind of a typical thing for, you think of Thanksgiving meals, everybody sits around the table and everybody says something they're grateful for, right? That's a Thanksgiving thing, but that doesn't have to be just Thanksgiving. That can be all the time. That can be random times throughout the year. Gratitude stones, that's a fun one. So you get a smooth stone, and whether you have the kids paint them, or maybe it's just a sparkly one, or one that they pick out and they like, and it's called their gratitude stone. And every time they see or touch this gratitude stone, they think of something they're grateful for. And it's kind of, you probably heard them like prayer rocks, are kind of similar, things like that. Storytelling, so everybody can share a story of something that happened that they're super grateful for. One thing that we do fairly often with our family is and especially if one of our kids is having a hard time, we will take that child and everybody will take a turn. We'll go around and say something we love about them or something we're grateful for about that child. And everybody takes a turn and everybody says something. And sometimes we do it for everyone in the family. So we go, this person, everybody says something they're grateful for. And then we go to the next person. And it's so fun because everybody, when it's your turn, you feel so good. Everybody's saying all these nice things about you. And it just makes you feel so good. And it's a great family bonding activity that we do as well. All right, so there we go. We've talked about the second, practical activities for teaching gratitude. Hopefully that's given you some great ideas. So we've covered our first two, the importance of gratitude in child development, and then our second, practical activities for teaching gratitude. Now let's move on to the third thing, modeling gratitude as parents. Okay, you would think this is kind of a no-brainer, right? If you are grateful, your children are going to learn that. The children mimic what they see. They that's why they say the words their parents say. They act like their parents. They want to dress like their parents, right? You are the model. You are the example for your children. When you express thankfulness verbally, it teaches them the same. So saying thank you, anywhere you go, homeschool, community, says that was something in my house growing up that was so important, and we praised it. We always said, oh, thank you. At least 3 of my 6 kids, thank you was their first word. And I loved that because we were always, oh, thank you. You know, they give you a kiss. Thank you. You hand them. And so one thing that I do, this is my own parenting technique, is when they're little, and let's face it, even teenagers need this sometimes. But with teenagers, it's more of a joke, which is fine. When they're little, they don't always understand or know how to express things verbally. So what I would do is I would speak for them in the way that I would say, oh, thank you, Mom, or thank you, Daddy. If my husband gave them something, I would say for them, thank you, Daddy. And then more often than not, they would repeat, thank you, Daddy, because they heard me say it. Now they know what they're supposed to say, right? They know that, oh, that's what we say. And we joke and and we say things that I'll say to my kids, thanks, Mom, best mom in the world. and they laugh and because they know it's like me saying it to myself. But they do, and then they do say it on their own. They'll be like, Mom, you're the best mom in the world. And oh, thank you. Oh, I wonder where they got that idea. Hello, I gave it to them their whole life. But they believe it. They believe it. Why? Because I'm their mom and I've told them thank you. I've told them all these things, best mom ever. And we say that to siblings too. I'll be like, oh, he shared with you best brother ever. Or what an awesome brother. That's so nice of him. Saying those things and encouraging. You're basically teaching them and telling them how to feel about this positive thing. And that's good. Like when they're little, they need to learn that. If they don't have that, then they don't really know how to react. And when it's a new experience, sometimes kids don't know how to react. And so if they're like awkward, then what do they learn? They learn that this service equals awkwardness for me. But if you're teaching them when it happens, if they might feel awkward and you're like, oh, they were so nice to you, that helps them learn, oh, this service equals nice and equals love. And it helps them understand it. So verbally, as yourself, verbally as the parent, saying thank you and also teaching them what to say in the appropriate situations. And when you say, if it's something they don't want, just say, no, thank you. And they can say, no, thank you. That's fine too. They're still saying it in a polite way. So showing appreciation through your actions. So demonstrating gratitude through your actions, such as doing something kind in return when someone helps you. Have you ever gone through double doors to a building, right? So they have like a little breezeway or a coat closet or something. You go in one set of doors and then there's another set of doors for the main building. So let's say somebody opens the first door for you and you say, oh, thank you. You go up and you open the second door for them, right? That's immediate return of showing gratitude. Like, not only did you say thank you, but I'm going to show in return how I do this. Acknowledging and appreciating the efforts of family members by assisting with tasks and expressing thanks. Again, your day-to-day stuff, I cannot express how important that is for the small things, no matter how little they are. It starts when they're young. Doing your own gratitude journal. Again, you're setting that example, having your own gratitude journal. And if gratitude is something you personally struggle with, that's okay. You can learn this along with your kids. You know what? We never have to stop learning. That's the beauty of life. We can learn until the day we die. We can always learn, and we should always be learning. There's always room for growth and learning. Celebrating personal or family achievements. Emphasize the effort and support that went into reaching those goals. So if you have a goal, if it's for a specific vacation or a task, let's say it's a home improvement or working in the yard or something, it's important to recognize when it's done, or even if it's not done, like, oh my goodness, this has been so much work. Thank you so much for all of your help. It's going to be so nice when it's done, or I'm so grateful that it's done. And reminding not only yourself, but your children that there's a payoff, there's a reward, right? You can volunteer together. Again, giving them the experience of learning empathy. Volunteer, show that you care about others. You have that empathy and you have that attitude of gratitude and that service and that love and kindness. They're going to learn from your example. You can share your stories with your family story time. Share your stories and things you're grateful for and the people that made such an impact on your life and why and how grateful you are for that. Whether it was, hey, because they did this, it was this horrible thing, but I learned I don't want to behave that way. And I'm so grateful that happened because this is what I learned from it. It doesn't, like I said, you can spin anything positive. It doesn't matter what the situation is. There's always a positive spin and there's always something to be grateful for. Again, with the materialistic, valuing experiences over possessions. Remember, our materialistic things change. Our taste, our style, whether they get destroyed, they wear out, they get used up, you outgrow them, they go out of trend, out of style, whatever it is, those are materialistic things. They come and go. But our experiences, our relationships, those are the things that last. And that's where true value lies. So those are some ways as parents we can model gratitude for our kids. All right, so let's move on to number 4, our last one. So we've talked about importance of gratitude in child development, practical activities for teaching gratitude, modeling gratitude as parents, and now we're going to discuss navigating challenges in teaching gratitude. So you might be like, yeah, I'm on board. I get it. Gratitude is wonderful. Gratitude is important. I need to teach my kids and I need to model it, but I have teenagers. Dun, dun, dun. That's like, oh no, right? I never thought teenagers would be that bad until I had multiple teenagers. And I was like, no, oh my gosh. And some are worse than others. Well, let me flip that. Some are better than others. There's the positive spin on that. So, but not, and it's not always just teenagers. Some kids, there's just challenges in teaching them anything, right? Some kids make up their mind they're going to have a bad attitude no matter what you do or say. So let's talk about some options and some ways that you can navigate challenges in teaching gratitude. So let's say there's a resistance or a lack of interest. They're just like, no, not interested. Here's the solution. Make gratitude engaging by incorporating fun activities and games. So choosing age-appropriate exercises that capture their interests, such as gratitude journals with colorful pens, art projects, or interactive discussions. Okay, that may not work for teenagers, but you know what will? What does your teenager want? Find out what motivates them. What are their interests? And that's how you can reward them. And that's how, in modeling your own, you can say, I am so grateful that you did this. And sometimes you have to start small, baby steps. I'm so grateful you got up and you showered and I didn't have to wake you up and tell you to shower today. I am so thankful for that. Thank you so much. That saved my time and energy. Here's a candy bar, or whatever. Hey, I was thinking of you, and I was just so grateful that you've helped out with your younger siblings, and I wanted to do something. Can I take you out to lunch? Whatever. Find out what it is that they like, and teenagers, that can be hard sometimes, but find out what it is that shows them a reward, a positive thing, and make it engaging. And sometimes it's a game. And one key I found with teenagers is sarcasm. Teenagers, some of them, not all of them, but they're all about sarcasm. Okay, so I'm going to tell you one of my absolute favorite things I started doing years ago with my teenager, and it became a game. It became a joke. And the funny thing was, when I would say this, for me, it was all I could do to hold a straight face and not laugh. And you might, when I first tell you this, you might think like, oh, that's so mean. But it's really not. And it's because it becomes how they take it, okay? And with my family, it became a joke. And we started all saying this to each other, okay? I have one teenager that would complain about everything, okay? He would complain about, you give him, if he got a candy bar at school, he'd complain that it wasn't really his favorite one, or he'd complain that it was high in calories, or he'd complain that, it melts, and so he's going to have to eat it right away. Whatever it was like there was a stage, not so much. Now, he's not like this anymore, but when he was younger, he would complain about everything. And that is so exhausting as a parent to hear the complaints all the time. That's the opposite of gratitude, right? And so what I started doing, and because he was complaining over the most ridiculous things. You're like, okay, anyone in their right mind would be like, oh my gosh, I got a candy bar today. Yay me, this is so awesome. But no, he would find something to complain about. So this is why it kind of started out like a joke a little bit. When he would complain, with all the energy and focus I could muster to stay serious, I would look him dead in the eyes and just, this is acting skills are necessary. I would put on as much acting as I could and try to say as sincerely as possible, that must be so hard for you. Okay? And when I said that, especially the first few times, because the first few times I was better at holding a straight face. And I was acting like I was empathizing with him and trying to be like, oh, you poor thing, you got a candy bar given to you today, right? And the first few times, it was so funny because it caught him so off guard that here I was empathizing as he was complaining, and I was empathizing with him. And I would just say that phrase, and I would kind of do that the whole, oh, that must be so hard for you. And it would stop him dead in his tracks, because he'd start to think, well, no, I got a candy bar, it wasn't that hard. Like, and he'd start to think like, wait a minute. And then he caught on, I was being sarcastic. And then it was hilarious. And it became, as he started realizing it, it became something I would say when he would complain. And again, I would try to hold a straight face, and I would be like, okay, wait a minute, give me a minute. That must be so hard for you. And he as soon as he'd complain, he got to where he would know, just by a look on my face, he knew I was going to say that. And he would start laughing, and he was just like, don't even say it. Don't you dare even say it. And this became a running joke in our family. And if anyone complained about anything, including me, he would say it, or any of us would say, "Oh, that must be so hard for you." And so, sometimes we do it. It is. Thank you for understanding. But the point was, it became lighthearted, and it became a way to recognize when you're complaining, and it was like a wake-up call of, you're complaining about something that's really ridiculous, and it's within your control and your power to shift your attitude or shift the situation and see it in a new light. That, I cannot tell you, that was the best teenager attitude shifting thing I've ever done, and it was the best. We say it all the time in our family now. We say, my husband and I say it to each other anytime anybody's complaining. Because the thing is, everybody has trials. Everybody has hard things. Everybody could complain about something, right? But chances are, what you're complaining about, somebody else has dealt with something way harder, right? And you're complaining that, you're low on gas for your car. But there's people out there that don't have a car, right? There's people out there that can't even walk. There's always someone's got it worse than you, and you're complaining. And so that has been a super fun thing that has helped our family shift from complaining to an attitude of gratitude in a fun, lighthearted way. And you have to understand, in my family, we really don't get offended by much. So we're all pretty easygoing. All right, so let's move on. There's a solution for that resistance, lack of interest. Secondly, inconsistent participation. So let's, and that's kind of normal. Everybody has good days, bad days, right? Some days it's easy to be grateful. Some days it's easy to see the bright side. And some days you just don't have it in you. And you're just like, I just can't. That's okay. So creating a solution, though, would be to create a routine for expressing gratitude, whether it's at mealtime, bedtime, during a weekly family meeting, whatever. Consistency helps make gratitude a natural part of the routine. So you have to remember, even when you feel down and you're having those days it's hard to be grateful, it's a moment. It's a day. It's not going to last forever. And I doubt your entire day, full time you are awake, whether it's, 12 hours or 20, I guess, if you only get 4 hours of sleep, whatever it is, chances are there's going to be at least something good happen during that day. It doesn't matter what it is. There's always going to be something. There's something you can be grateful for. And if you have a routine of, hey, before I go to bed, I'm going to think of something, what am I most grateful for that happened today? Even if you're like, you know what, this is the worst day of my life, but at least I'm grateful that it's over. And so, again, there's always something. And if you have a routine, it can help you shift that and find at least one thing each day. All right, another one might be overcoming entitlement. Oh my goodness, this is something I hear lots of stories with. And I've seen it. I've seen the entitlement. Oh, it drives me crazy. Why people think that they're entitled to everything and anything and other people's things, and it's a disease. A solution: discuss the concept of privilege and the importance of being thankful for what they have. Engage in conversations about the value of hard work, effort, and the fact that not everyone has the same opportunities. So that is something, specifically with my teenager now. He's a junior in high school. And we are a family that can't afford to just give our kids every little thing their heart desires. And I don't know if we really would if we could afford it. I think it's important for them to work hard, and that helps them achieve a sense of gratitude for what they have. If everything's just given to you all the time, you don't appreciate it as much. And you don't take care of it as much. When you have to work hard and save your money to buy a new couch, you're going to take such good care of that couch, versus if somebody just gives you a couch, you're like, it was free. It's okay. The kids spilled, they can have food on it, whatever. It doesn't matter. It was free. But when you had to work and save your money and make sacrifices for it, you're going to be like, no food on the couch. No animals on the couch. That couch is, we're going to clean it. It's getting dirty. Oh, it's time to wash the cushions. You know, you're going to take good care of it because you want it to last as long as possible. So we have, with our son, he has a lot of friends at school whose parents are very well off. And some of those parents have purchased their kids like brand new cars that cost more money than any of the cars that my husband and I have bought or owned. And they just bought it for their kid, their teenage driver. And in contrast to our son, he worked through the summer, saved his own money, and bought his own car. We had a car. We call it a teenage car. That we get them a cheap car that's basically, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's something we can afford to buy outright. And the point of the car is to get them from point A to point B so they can have a job and save their money to get a better car. So this isn't supposed to be their lifetime car that, you know, their be all end all. This is just a means of transportation that's safe. So we had one, but it wasn't the nicest car and it needed some repairs. So he had worked all summer and saved his money, and he said, I want to buy my own car. And we said, okay, that's fine. We'll help you. He didn't have a high budget, so I think he ended up paying $600-700, something like that, for his car. He bought with his own money. We told him, if you buy the car with your own money, you pay the insurance, you pay the registration, you pay all the repairs on the car because it's yours, the title, everything, it is your car. Now, if you drove the car that we had, yeah, it's not as nice of a car, but we pay the insurance and we pay repairs and registration. And so on his own car, we had that discussion, like, this is your car, so your responsibility. He did that. He does all that. He has a job. He does full-time college. He's taken 18 college credits, and he's 16. His friends, it is so funny because we have these conversations, and he has his friends who their parents bought them brand new nice cars. They buy them anything they want. They buy them brand new phone. We're like needs versus wants, right? A want is something he buys with his own money. A need is something that we buy. So if he needs clothes, we buy them. If he wants his name brand Lululemon, which he absolutely loves, and he's kind of a name brand snob, which is fine, he buys it with his money because I'm not going to spend $80 for a pair of shorts. So he's learned this difference, and he recognizes it with his friends and the sense of entitlement that his friends have. And his friends talk about going to college or going on these trips or whatever. And they're like, aren't your parents just going to pay for that? And he says, no, why would my parents pay for this? Like, first of all, they've got their own bills, their own stuff to pay for. They'll help me out any way they can, but they can't afford to just throw money at anything that my heart desires. You know, that's up to me. It's personal accountability. So that's something as a parent. Let your kids work for stuff. Let them earn stuff. Don't give them every little thing their heart desires. Let them sacrifice. Let them make sacrifices and work to earn the things that they have. And I'm not talking basics. I'm talking the extra things. If they want a new phone, if they want a game or whatever, they want a new toy, let them earn the money and let them do it themselves and see the difference and how the entitlement goes away. All right. So we talked about the routines, entitlement, different perspectives. As your children are involved in different cultures and different socioeconomic situations, it's going to give them different perspectives. It's so important to volunteer with your kids. Help them. Do family service projects. Sometimes we point out as a family, and not as a we're better than them, but as in a how can we help them. We'll point out that, like, hey, I noticed so-and-so, their shoes are kind of falling apart. Have you noticed? And like, if it's one of their friends, have you noticed? Is that the only pair of shoes they have? And they're like, oh, no, those are just their favorite ones. Oh, okay, no big deal. But if they're like, yeah, they wear those all the time. And then I say, well, do we have some shoes that are nicer that don't fit you anymore? We can give them, or let's go buy them a pair of shoes or something. And we don't even have to tell them it was from us. We can drop it off discreetly and do secret service. And we've done that a lot. We've done cookies or cupcakes or something. We'll take them to people's door, knock on the door, and run away. That's one of our favorite things to do as a family. We love that. And it's so fun just to cheer someone up and to help their day get better. All right. Balancing gratitude and desire for more is another one. So sometimes some kids, it's just like, there's never enough, right? There's never enough of anything. So the solution would be teaching them expressing gratitude doesn't mean they can't have goals and desires, but they learn to differentiate between appreciation for what they have and setting positive goals for the future. Having a goal doesn't make you ungrateful. It's, I'm grateful that we have this, and I'm so excited. I'm going to work towards this, and I'm grateful that there is this opportunity that I can work through that. Goals are good, right? Dealing with peer influence might be another one. So discuss with children the impact of peer influence and societal expectations. Teach them to appreciate others for who they are rather than comparing possessions or achievements. And I think that's so vital for kids. As kids, comparison is the thief of joy, right? And sometimes, I mean, everybody compares themselves, but there's a difference between comparing in a way of, hey, I'm better than them, or look at this or look at that, versus I'm so grateful that my situation is this way because they might have had it worse, or they don't appreciate this or whatever. But showing that gratitude and that when other friends and stuff are entitled or ungrateful, it's not a like, well, I'm better than them, but it's just like, I am grateful that I was taught how to be grateful. I'm grateful that I learned to work hard. And that's something we've talked about with our son, with some of his friends that are so entitled. He said that. He's like, but you know what? I'm so grateful that I learned these, because when they get out in the real world on their own, it's going to be a hard wake-up call for them to understand, like, all of a sudden somebody's not footing the bill for everything. And he's like, I'm so grateful that I've had that opportunity to learn that independence and responsibility. And he says, I'm prepared. I feel like I'm more prepared for adult life. And he's grateful for that. So he's seen that in a positive way. Handling negative emotions might be another obstacle. A solution: acknowledge that everyone experiences negative emotions, because we do. We all have those days. Teach children healthy ways to cope with those feelings and express gratitude as a means of focusing on the positive aspects of their life. Now, this doesn't mean like, let's sugarcoat it and stuff all those negative emotions and we're never going to feel them. That's not what we're saying. But understanding that, okay, sometimes this happens and that stinks. This was a rough situation, or you got the short end of the stick, and that's a bummer, man. Okay, let's just own that for a minute. That stinks. That is not ideal. That is not something we want. That does not feel good. That is not what we hoped for. What a bummer, man. All right, well, okay, now that's that. It's happened. This is the situation, but what can we do about it? We can sit here and wallow in our own self-pity and be depressed and be sad and cry or get angry or whatever, but does that really fix the situation? How does that help? How does that prevent the situation from happening again? So let's see, what can we do to change the situation? Oh, we could do this. I'm so grateful for this. What can we be grateful for about the situation? And that gratitude is kind of a baby step in shifting perception. And when you shift your perception from wallowing in self-pity and spiraling downwards to, woe is me, nobody likes me, everybody hates me, let's go eat some worms. Okay, so from spiraling down into that depression, gratitude is the first step. It's the first hint of light that says, wait a minute, there might be something good here. And it's a building block that you can step on and say, okay, well, this is a situation, but I'm going to do this. And, the best revenge is success. Or I'm going to choose to do these actions and to shift this because I can, because it's in my ability. there's a few solutions for you there. So I hope that was helpful. Again, just to wrap up, today's parenting perspectives was on teaching gratitude to your children. We talked about the importance of gratitude in child development, practical activities for teaching gratitude, modeling gratitude as parents, navigating challenges in teaching gratitude. So those are the 4 things we discussed today in our podcast. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful Thursday, and enjoy the Black Friday sales tomorrow, which, speaking of which, if you go right now until Saturday this week on either of my blogs, the A to Z for moms.com or what88.com, you can use the coupon code Black Friday, all one word, Black Friday. That coupon code will work on either shop, on either blog, and it will give you 70% off. So that's 70% off of my books, 70% off of my food storage meal plan, 70% off of all the digital content on either site. I've never done a coupon that big. I think the biggest I've done is 50% off. And so 70% is huge. So enjoy the Black Friday sales. And remember our weekly lineup for the podcast. We have Motivational Monday, Teaching Tuesday, Whip It Wednesday, Parenting Perspectives on Thursday, Food Storage Friday, and Money Magic for Moms on Saturday. And you can always email me with any questions or comments or clarification to podcast@a2zformoms.com. And you can find me a YouTube channel, and you can watch the video of me talking during this podcast if you like to see hand gestures and facial expressions. And otherwise, you can find this podcast in multiple platforms or on my website, a2zformoms.com. Again, thanks for listening, and have a great Thanksgiving.